Morning, everyone. Happy Easter.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. He taught me how to watch, fight and pray, and live rejoicing every day, every day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, he washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. He taught me how to watch, fight and pray, and live rejoicing every day, every day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Thank you very much. Happy Easter. Thank you.
And now I think Laura has a solo she's going to sing for us. And then you do the opera.
I'm so glad I don't have to sing. Good morning and happy Easter. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura, and I serve on the Church Council as well as the Child Care Center Advisory Committee. While it's good to see all of you here in person as well as on Zoom, it feels surreal to stand here before you this Easter Sunday, where I stood exactly 3 years ago in 2019 on Easter Sunday before our world changed so drastically in 2020. While the past 2 years have seen immeasurable grief and loss, many of us are still experiencing grief and loss today. We've lost congregation and family members, friends, neighbors, even pets. Some have lost their livelihood. Some have lost their way. All of us have lost time. Time we could have spent with an elderly loved one far away. Time we could have better spent enjoying our children instead of trying to manage them while we tried to work from home. And I've been thinking about how we manage our grief. It's certainly not by watching the news or following social media. So what sustains us? What keeps us from sinking into and wallowing in despair? Considering it's Easter Sunday, let's imagine the grief and loss felt by Jesus's followers and loved ones after Jesus died and was buried. Jesus had asked his disciples to drop what they were doing and to follow him, which they did. With their lives upended, what do you think they did? With Christians now numbering more than 2 billion around the world today, clearly Jesus' followers didn't respond to their grief by doing nothing. So while the pandemic could have immobilized us, the St. Paul's community found ways to still keep doing. To sustain ourselves, we figured out how to conduct Sunday worship and Sunday school on Zoom and set up alternative ways to receive offering to keep the church afloat. The Child Care Center suffered serious staffing troubles, so the committee stepped up, putting in countless hours to right that very important ship. Volunteers got together to sew cloth face coverings, members joined marches for Black Lives, and families safely raised over $1,000 for each of 2 different car washes, one to fundraise for NephCure that supports patients with a rare kidney disease, and one for the Ali Forney Center that helps homeless LGBTQ+ youth. And we were able to do all of these things because we did them together. Together. During Sunday school a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the disciple Peter and how he had denied knowing Jesus 3 times. I asked the kids why they thought he did that, and they said probably because he was separated from the other disciples and afraid of what might happen to him alone. We agreed that it might have been different if he was with his fellow disciples, as we can feel stronger together. We talked about how we as individuals working together can do great things. For example, you know that clothing shed out there in our parking lot? St. Pauli Textile, no relation to St. Paul's, is the company that owns and manages almost 1,000 clothing sheds in the Northeast, including ours. In exchange for our volunteers working the shed every Wednesday and Sunday to bag and move donations away from the chute and to keep it tidy, the company pays us 10 cents per pound of clothing collected. That's not the only reason we do this. This effort helps keep these materials out of landfills and helps clothe people around the world. It turns out that 2021 was a record year for St. Pauli Textile. Over 40 million pounds of clothing were donated to their clothing sheds across the country. 85,907 pounds of clothing from ours alone. This was enough to clothe an estimated 15,825 people all over the world. And based on this volume of clothing, St. Paul's received $3,436. So to all of our clothing shed volunteers, we bagged and moved almost 86,000 pounds of clothing last year and helped St. Paul's raise almost $3,500. In addition to car washes and the clothing shed, our St. Paul's community serves by gardening, trimming trees and hedges, preparing the altar, donating blood, teaching our youth, sharing our music, donating food, packing and serving meals for the food insecure, and so much more. In the last 2 years, we've consoled one another in our grief. We've rallied around one another after terrible acts of violence and hate. We've celebrated graduations, births, baptisms, and confirmations, and we've shared our time, talent, and treasure to help sustain and uplift our St. Paul's and greater communities. Let's continue God's work with our hands by contributing what we can, because we are certainly stronger together. And that's our mission moment. You'll see in our bulletin that there are different ways you can give. My name is attached to our St. Paul's Venmo, so it's very easy to find. And once you start donating, you'll hear my phone cha-ching over and over again, which is such a wonderful sound. You can give all the traditional ways of envelopes, cash, check, through your bank. Thank you very much.
Did I hear a ka-ching? Let's thank Laura. That was beautiful. Thank you, Laura. So we're still doing the same method for the sign of the peace, which is simply to do the sign language for peace be with you. The sign for peace is this. Peace. You're not doing it. Come on. Peace with you.